good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're viewing from. This is Laura Thompson with TAAN TV, the African American Network, where we have a local feel with the global reach, and you're tuned into It's Women's History Month. TAAN TV is interviewing women from all across the country uh, every day this month until the 31st. And we have the distinct pleasure of having the beautiful Francine Jackson. And guess where she's from? She's from Canada. I don't know if she's Canadian, but she'll tell us that in a little bit. But before we get started with the interview, Francine, could you kind of introduce yourself, tell them who you are, what you do, where you're from, and all of those good things?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Laura, for having me. So I'm Francine. I am from Toronto, Canada. I currently live in Michigan, though. I am a mother of one, a 15-year-old, soon to be 16. I currently work in child welfare as my full-time gig. I also do some contract work for some crisis centers for youth that are in crisis. I also am a therapist and have a private practice, and I'm a licensed foster parent. So a lot of different hats.
Wow, but it all kind of stems around the same thing. You have the same purpose of helping people to get on the right track. And so we're here a little bit early today because um, uh, Francine is in another time zone, and so I really didn't communicate Central Time or Eastern Time, and so we're just going to do it now. So if you're tuned in now, that's fine. But you know that if you missed it at 11 something, you'll be able to see it still. So um, I like to talk about living history and like history that people have made while they're alive and they're still able to tell about it. I think that it's important for people to tell their own stories, and so that's why we're doing this. It's History Month, Women's History Month series, and so I want to go back a little bit to your childhood. So can you tell us a little bit about where you grew up and what types of things you did as you were growing up, or some of your life experiences?
Sure. Ooh, childhood. I don't want to make myself sound old, but I'm like, ooh, I got a bad memory. But so grew up in Toronto, or was born in Toronto, and then we moved to Windsor. I had at the time I only had three siblings. Now I have four. But I'm the middle child, so I have two older brothers and then a younger sister. So we all were with my mother in Toronto. Then we moved to Windsor. She was a single mother for a while, and then she got married, and that's how we moved over to Michigan. And so her husband moved us to Michigan, and then we stayed. We've been here ever since. And so as a child, I just had different experiences with my father being, still living in Toronto. He's also from the Caribbean, so it was kind of hard seeing him all the time. So my stepdad did, come in and step up to the picture and took care of it, which was really great. And then went to predominantly white schools until I got into university. Then I kind of got that diverse mix, so started learning more about myself, definitely as I got older. And then let's see, and then I had my son at 23. I feel like I'm skipping a lot.
That's
My
okay.
step my stepmother was a big part of my life as well. She came into my life when I was about, I think 16 or 17. And then unfortunately she passed away from cancer
Wow.
almost 10 years ago. My stepdad passed away from leukemia in
Wow.
2007. So it was weird because both my parents' spouses passed away from cancer, but they were both very big parts of my life. Um, and then now I'm just, here living, trying to live out the dream and do everything that God has me on this earth to do.
Wow. So it appears that you are heavily involved in helping people socially, helping them to get on track. So as a kid or a young person, is that something that you aspire to do or aspire to be? Or how did that come about?
So when I was a kid, I've always wanted to be a doctor. I always wanted to go to med school in California. And I chose not to because when I got pregnant with my son, I was like, well, that would be selfish just to, be, and I know how rigorous med school is. And so I think helping people is just naturally seeing my mother do it. I know she at one point was a social worker. My mom was probably like one of the kindest people you'll meet. And so I think it just rubbed off on me. And I love kids. And that's part of the main crux of what I do in all of my different roles.
Wow. So, it's phenomenal the services that you provide for kids and individuals, adults interested in, getting involved in the child protective services, foster care industry. And so, how did you get involved in that? I know you're a social worker and you counsel as well, correct?
Yes. Yep. Mhm.
So how did you get involved with helping, because that's something that's much needed, and there's not many entities or agencies that provide that service.
Yeah. So like I said, I wanted to go to med school and then I got pregnant with my son. And then I was trying to figure out like what path to take. Cause I definitely knew I needed to have a foundation. I needed to have a career that was going to be able, that I was to help me take care of him. And so social work was probably the easiest path, to be honest. The easiest path to go and like still get my degree, but still be able to make a living. And so I went with social work, and then I kind of just naturally fell into child welfare. I've been in child welfare now for almost 15 years. And
Wow.
so just being around and seeing the different families and the kids and working with them and just seeing the type of trauma that they've been through, I couldn't help but beyond like getting paid to do it, wanting to be a foster parent and take some of the kids into my home. And so the story of me becoming a licensed foster parent was I was in church because I used to teach kids Bible study on Wednesdays. And so I was in church one day and it was just, I was playing with a kid. And I think it was maybe a few months after I bought my house, my first house. And I was playing with some of the kids in church. And then, no lie, like an overwhelming feeling of God's voice just came over me. And I was like telling me like I needed to do more. I needed to, like, I was blessed with this house that is, more than enough room for me and my son. And then he just planted the seed of, being able to help in that capacity of being a licensed foster parent. And so since then, I've been a licensed foster parent for maybe 3, 4 years now. I mainly do teenagers because that is like our biggest drought. Like nobody wants to foster teens, right? They want the cute little babies, and so I mainly foster teens. I think I relate well with them. They kind of maybe because I'm younger or seem younger, but also just listening to them and talking to them, and so that's kind of where my heart is.
Wow. So um, you also kind of help people that are looking for foster care kids, or to kind of help them to understand, what their responsibilities are going to be. Is that correct?
Yeah, yep. I go recruit in the community with my team members. We have events to just bring awareness to the need for it. Like even now, I know in Wayne, one of the Wayne County, which is where I work in Michigan, we have 80 children that are waiting for placement
Wow.
for homes. So they're either in shelters or they're sometimes we have kids sleeping in the office. So it is such a need for us to get the word out there for foster parents. So I recruit. I also train foster parents just on kind of what to expect with the whole system because it's not as easy as I'm making it sound, and how to deal with children that are impacted by trauma because that's a whole nother task in itself.
Wow. So you have 80 teenagers, or just 80 kids, period,
Kids.
waiting?
Yeah, just kids in general. Yeah, that we haven't been able to find homes for.
Wow. So what is it? What type of recruitment, or what types of training do you give to uh, adults or potential foster care parents?
So they get trained on trauma, so the impacts of trauma, so that they can understand that a lot of these behaviors kids are exhibiting are not because they want to or because they're bad. It's because they are expressing a need that hasn't been met before in their homes where they were abused or neglected. I teach on diversity and inclusion. We teach on mental health. So it's about a 25-hour training that we split up into multiple days on also we teach them how to take care of themselves, because if they people can't take care of themselves, they can't take care of our kids, right? So that's probably my the best part of my job is teaching.
Wow. So do you help identify families or recommend families, or do you help kind of match them up or?
Yeah, so they do have to go through a process of, a background check. And then we have to do a really intense home study just to see what their life is like, how they've been impacted by their own parenting, if they're current parents, what kind of parenting styles they have. So it's about a 30-page assessment that we have to complete. Because we want to make sure, right, that people or kids that we're taking from bad environments, we're not putting them back into the same thing,
Mhm.
the same type of environment.
Wow. So what type of success rate have you had since you've been doing this training and helping families?
Ooh. I need to find that out. I need to get some kind of measurement to find that out. Um, oh,
So do you follow them and track them, or what?
I don't. I'm sure like upper management and like, administrators higher, way higher up than me do. But that's a good question. I would have to find that out.
Wow. So so that's your career. So you do other things too. So what other things do you do besides work with the foster care system?
So again, like my private practice, so I work with teenagers and adults. That's something that's still up and coming. I have a business with my business partner where we're just trying to do more stuff for women, especially African American women. And so that's like retreats, local retreats, and just events throughout the city. So I know for me, I've always, especially as an adult, it's been difficult to find like friends or people of the same interest. And so doing that in the community so that people can have, friends or people they talk to, because I truly believe you can't do life alone. I don't think you can really enjoy life without at least having someone. And so that's part of the business. I love to travel. I'm always somewhere on a plane trying to escape my reality for a little bit, which is needed with all this, all the things that I do.
Wow. And so you have a 15-year-old son. So what is your relationship like with him?
Oh, that's my everything. I couldn't imagine life now without him. I know when I first had him, I was freaking out, but now it's like I couldn't imagine life with him, without him. We're very close. It's interesting to see a human being grow and to know that he's soon going to be an adult. In 3 years, he'll be graduating in 2027. Like I can't even usually talk about it without tears in my eyes. But he's a great kid. He's super smart. He's in AP classes. He's in the honor society. We're working on, getting him a job this summer because he's has such a rigorous school schedule that he can't work. But I do want him to get that experience. And he's so into, oh, I want to do real estate, or I want to be an entrepreneur, because he doesn't want to work a 9 to 5. And so, which I, fully support. So we're just working on like post high school plans and what he really wants to do that he'll enjoy.
Wow. So that's a smart guy. He wants to get into real estate. So that's good.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I
Lee,
think it was embedded in him from like my brother, and my stepdad was really into real estate, so he's just grown up around it.
wow. So I don't know if viewers will recognize you or know who you are. You are one of the co-hosts on a new podcast called Minus the Blueprint, and so
Yeah.
y'all done like 6 episodes so far. And we've noticed that some of the same people are watching and commenting. So you're building this following of people. There was a new comment that popped up yesterday from one of your shows, and the lady said, "I normally don't watch podcasts, but I really, really enjoy your show, and I can't wait for the next one." And she says that just about every week. Um,
Oh,
been following you. So tell us about how and this show is like it's free counseling for me, and
yeah.
it really touches on a lot of things, real life situations that people go through, but they don't really have anybody to talk to. So tell us a little bit about your involvement in it and why y'all do the show.
Yeah, so we came up with the title minus the blueprint like years ago. Me, Shaniqua, and Shayna, who are my co-hosts, and we were going to use it to start doing like events around the city. We were going to do like a Juneteenth event, and just start cultivating events based around our community and our culture. And so that never came into fruition. And then Shaniqua had approached us with an idea to do a podcast because she had a relationship with you, which was awesome. And so, yeah, so we were like, yeah, let's do it. Let's, talk to, people about things that we've been through because I'm sure they can relate. And so, so far, it's been really a great experience. We have great chemistry, all three of us. And so I feel like I've been kind of growing with the podcast. I'm super shy. Like you can see from episode one, I know you were there, but I was in my shell. And now I feel like I'm getting more comfortable being on camera because I am, naturally shy. But it's been a good experience. And I'm getting my own therapy too as I'm doing it. So it's been great.
Wow, I know the very first one you were very shy, and I'm like, does she talk? But now
Yeah.
you're in the groove, and you're really leading a lot of the conversations, and it's a great show. And so, what do you do for fun? I know you have a rigorous schedule. You have a teenage son.
Mhm.
So you got a lot of things going on that require, a lot of responsibility. But what are some of your hobbies or things that you do to kind of unwind?
Ooh, so I do have to get better with like self cares and like doing it more frequently. Because my main one is traveling, so I love to have something to look forward to. So I usually do at least one or two different countries a year, and
Wow.
so I have it. So that to me, like having something to look forward to gives me motivation to be like, okay, well, I got to go to work because I got to make money to go on this trip and, see God's beautiful earth. So I like this year I'm going to Europe. And so we're doing, and I'm glad I'm getting to go with my mom and my son and my cousins. And so we're doing London, we're doing France and Italy. And so that's going to be really great. It's in August. So as far
Wow.
as like those are things I do like a couple times a year. So as far as self care daily, I've been, the gym is always a great stress reliever. So being consistent with that, massages once in a while. Fun, I just like to, as far as like fun, I really have any hobbies as an adult. When I was younger, I used to like collect teddy bears. I danced. Um, I played the flute. So now as an adult, I feel like, and I know we actually, Shaniqua talked about this on an episode before about just having adult or hobbies as adults. And I'm like, that's really something I want to explore and start doing. Because I think the only fun thing is I just try different new things in the city. Like if there's a cooking class or if there's like a yoga class or like a glass making class, like I'll be the one to be like, yeah, let's go do this. But I don't really have any hobbies as an adult.
Wow. So this has been a great conversation. You're tuned into It's Women's History Month on TAAN TV, the African American Network, where we have a local feel with a global reach, and we are here with the incomparable Francine Jackson, and she's originally from Canada. She lives in Michigan right now, where it's cold. Uh, they came down to San Antonio to film their first three episodes of Minus the Blueprint, and brought the cold with them because it was like 20 degrees
It was
the whole time
freezing.
they were there. So, but now we're experiencing sunshine. I don't know if y'all still have ice on the ground or if it's the temperatures are really low.
We
But
got six. We're in the 60s today. There's sunshine today, so I think the rest of the week is going to be a little downhill. But today is beautiful out.
wow. So we've enjoyed, having you all on Minus the Blueprint on TAN TV, and we look forward to more and more episodes and to watch them grow. They're also going to be on audio platforms too, coming soon. So tell us about some of the audio platforms that you are looking forward to being on.
Yeah, so we are going to be. Ooh, I'm gonna mess up the names of the platforms. But we are. I want to say it's SoundCloud,
Yep.
Apple. Oh, Miss Laura, you got me.
Yeah.
I promise. This is so that's somebody else's department who's setting it up.
Okay.
But we do want you to tune in and definitely get a dose of Minus the Blueprint. We are planning for season 2. We have a lot of great topics that we want to share, but we also want to hear things that you want to hear from viewers about what they want to hear, because we're open to having conversations. We're trying our best to be vulnerable. I think in this space we've also learned how much we want to share about our lives and who that will impact. So that's been a really important theme amongst all of us, and we just having to decompress after each episode and making sure that we're all good and how we feel about what the episode that we recorded. So
Wow.
um, yes.
Well, I'm just amazed at you all because you've exceeded my expectations in terms of how structured you are, and how y'all plan out everything. I didn't know what to expect, but I was like, it was Shaniqua asked, and so I said okay. But y'all have really hit on some really really important topics and hot topics to
Thank you.
help people with their life skills that nobody else probably took the time to do, and they might not have gone and get to therapists to get the help that they need. So how important, and before we go, how important is it for people to get therapy, to get help from some of the trauma that they've gone through in their lives?
Yeah, so it is, and I know there's such a stigma, and I feel like it's getting better, but there's such a stigma about therapy, that especially in our community, right? Like, I don't need it, I got to figure it out, or we don't tell our problems to other people, we keep it within the family. But it is so important to have somebody that has those skills to be able to process what you're going through, because you're going to normalize that for the rest of your life, not knowing that you're going through life, and you may be having your trauma or putting your trauma on somebody else, and then they're traumatized, and then it just becomes a whole cycle. So it's important to have someone to talk to and decompress with, so you can figure out what's going on, why you're not happy, why you're doing the things you do, why you feel the way you feel. And so I highly encourage everyone to get a therapist. I have a therapist and I am a therapist, right? Mental health is important just as much as physical health, so you should be taking care of your emotions and your thinking just as much as you go to the doctors and take care of your body. And so I highly encourage everyone to do so. And there's a lot of different platforms out there now. So you can do it virtually, you can do it in person, and a lot of different websites if you have a certain type of therapist you're looking for, as far as race or gender or, SOGI, things like that.
Wow. So this has been great, great information, a great, great conversation. I always enjoy, hearing your perspective on Minus the Blueprint. I feel like I know you because you share, you and Shaniqua and Shay share, so much information about, who you are and the things that you've gone through. And there's such a great synergy between the three of you that I just feel like I know you. And so we appreciate everything that you're doing and that you've done. And we welcome you again to TAN TV. And thank you so much for coming on and talking about your life story, a little bit of it, and sharing it with us.
Yes, thank you, Miss Laura. And I like in how you said you didn't know what to expect from us. We didn't know what to expect either, but you've been like such a great support. TAN TV has just been there every step of the way, because I'm like, what are we doing really? And you guys have just been super supportive, especially with us being here in Michigan and Nick being in Texas. So we do appreciate you giving us a space to do this. So
Well,
thank you.
I appreciate y'all, and so I want to tell a funny story before we get off. Remember when we after the first filming and we went to the restaurant, and y'all were like, "What is this?" And I could tell they were they were thinking that the food was not going to be good, so they ordered a little bit and said, I said, "Well, what do y'all think?" Well, and then they tasted it and ordered some more. But we
Yes.
turned them on to a little Mexican food with a vegan flair. Uh,
Yes, a month after I was texting Nick like, I need that again. Like it was like a burrito or something. And I was like, that was so good, because I thought it was gonna be a little healthy store. I'm like, what is Miss Laura? Where she got me that? And it was so good. So I was like, now when I come back to Texas, I have to go there. It was really good. What was the name of it? Do you
uh,
remember?
Revolution. Yeah.
Revolution. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a little coffee house and restaurant, breakfast restaurant.
Hmm.
Yes.
It
So,
definitely shocked us. Yes.
right. But thank you so much for joining us. And
Thank you.
y'all been tuned in to It's Women's History Month on TAAN TV, the African American Network, where we have a local feel with the global reach. And we're going to be continuing these interviews throughout the month of March. We've got a couple of more weeks left and some great, great women to talk to. So thank you so much and have a good day.